Every day, thousands of people across the UK wake up to the same silent struggle: skyrocketing rents, crippling energy bills, and endless commutes that eat away at their health and time. Did you know that more than 40% of UK workers now admit they feel trapped in their own city, unable to move forward financially or emotionally? It's a shocking reality that most people ignore until it's too late. What if the very place you call home is quietly draining your productivity, damaging your well-being, and holding back your future? Recent studies reveal that certain cities are becoming unsustainable for ordinary families. Stay with me, because the 10 cities you must think twice about before 2026 may not be the ones you expect. Number 10. Liverpool. Liverpool, once celebrated for its cultural heritage and thriving port economy, is now facing a reality that's becoming harder to ignore. Over the past few years, the city has seen housing costs rise faster than local wages, leaving many families stretched thin. While it may not have the same price tag as London or Edinburgh, the gap between earnings and living expenses is widening, creating a quiet crisis for middle-aged workers who expected stability at this stage of life. At the same time, Liverpool's job growth has slowed, particularly in industries outside of tourism and retail, leaving fewer long-term career opportunities. For people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, who value security and time efficiency, this translates into increased stress about the future. Add to this the daily frustration of poor transport connectivity, where unreliable links between suburbs and the city center often turn simple commutes into exhausting journeys. The result is hours lost each week, time that could have been invested in family, health, or personal growth. Psychologists point out that wasted time is a hidden drain on productivity, eroding both focus and motivation. On top of that, social media paints Liverpool as a place of constant fun and nightlife, but this highlight reel often clashes with the reality of residents juggling bills, delayed trains, and limited job prospects. That disconnect can quietly fuel feelings of dissatisfaction and comparison, particularly among adults trying to balance careers with personal well-being. By 2026, without meaningful improvements in infrastructure and employment diversity, many residents may feel Liverpool no longer supports the balanced, productive lifestyle they once hoped for. The city remains rich in history and spirit, but for those prioritizing stability and efficiency, Liverpool is becoming a challenging place to stay. Number 9. Birmingham. Birmingham, the UK's second-largest city, has long been known as an industrial powerhouse, but in recent years, it has developed challenges that are increasingly difficult for residents to overlook. One of the most pressing issues is air pollution, consistently ranked among the highest in the country. Scientific studies have repeatedly shown that prolonged exposure to poor air quality doesn't just harm physical health, it also reduces mental sharpness, increases fatigue, and contributes to lower concentration levels. For adults between 35 and 65, who rely heavily on clear thinking and consistent energy to manage work, family, and personal goals, this becomes a hidden productivity killer. Alongside environmental pressures, Birmingham struggles with a demanding lifestyle shaped by long commutes and congested roads. What should be a 20-minute journey often stretches far longer, adding hours of wasted time every week. For many residents, this translates into less sleep, fewer hours for relaxation, and constant stress about being late or overworked. Research confirms that commute-related stress has a direct effect on mood and decision-making, creating a cycle where people feel exhausted before their day has even begun. Compounding the problem is the city's work culture, where many sectors still emphasize long hours over efficiency, leaving workers drained with little energy left for family or self-care. For those aiming to maintain a balance of productivity and well-being, Birmingham's current pace can feel overwhelming, almost as if the city itself is working against personal progress. While its opportunities in business, education, and culture remain attractive, the everyday reality for many is a combination of polluted air, time-consuming commutes, and overextended schedules. By 2026, unless these factors shift, Birmingham risks becoming less of a city of opportunity and more of a city where survival outweighs growth. Number 8. Manchester. Manchester has positioned itself as one of the UK's fastest-growing hubs for technology, media, and the gig economy. But this rapid rise has brought with it a new kind of pressure. The city's expanding digital culture means many workers are caught in a cycle of being always online, with freelance projects, remote work, and startup environments blurring the line between professional and personal time. For adults in their mid-30s to mid-60s, who value efficiency and balance, this lack of downtime often leads to burnout, where even weekends and evenings feel consumed by constant connectivity. Adding to the strain is the steady increase in living expenses. While Manchester was once viewed as a more affordable alternative to London, housing prices, transport costs, and everyday essentials have climbed sharply in recent years. Families who thought they were saving by choosing Manchester are now finding their budget stretched, forcing cutbacks on leisure and long-term savings. At the same time, the city's dense urban layout offers fewer natural retreats or quiet escapes compared to smaller towns. Scientific studies highlight that access to green spaces significantly reduces stress and improves mental health, but for many Manchester residents, true relaxation requires traveling outside the city. This creates another hidden time cost, where simply finding peace demands extra planning and effort. The combination of economic pressure, non-stop digital engagement, and limited natural relief makes Manchester a challenging environment for those striving for sustainable productivity and mental well-being. While the city thrives on its reputation as dynamic and modern, by 2026, many residents may find themselves questioning whether its fast-paced lifestyle truly aligns with the balance they need for long-term health, savings, and happiness. Number 7. Sheffield. Sheffield, once the beating heart of Britain's steel industry, is experiencing a shift that has left many long-term residents struggling to adapt. Traditional industries that once provided stable, lifelong employment have declined, and while new opportunities exist, they often require retraining or digital skills that older workers find difficult to acquire quickly. For people in their 40s and beyond, this creates a gap between their experience and the demands of today's job market, leading to job insecurity and underemployment. At the same time, Sheffield is no longer the affordable option it used to be. Rising energy bills, food prices, and housing costs are squeezing families who expected a steadier financial path in midlife. The pressure of making ends meet while also planning for retirement is forcing many to sacrifice leisure, health, or personal development. Beyond financial stress, Sheffield's work-life balance has become increasingly strained. Long hours and less secure roles, combined with limited opportunities for upward mobility, mean many residents feel as if they are stuck in a cycle of working harder just to maintain the basics. Research shows that poor work-life balance not only drains productivity but also erodes family relationships and overall well-being. Adults in Sheffield often find themselves torn between keeping up with work demands and carving out meaningful time for loved ones, with little energy left for personal health or hobbies. Add to this the challenge of time management, when daily tasks require more effort simply to keep pace with rising costs, and the sense of being constantly behind grows stronger. By 2026, if these trends continue, Sheffield may see even more midlife workers and families reconsidering whether the city can still support their goals of security, balance, and a fulfilling lifestyle. Number 6. Newcastle. Newcastle, often admired for its rich history and vibrant culture, is facing structural challenges that make daily life increasingly difficult for residents. One of the most pressing issues is its aging infrastructure. Roads, public transport systems, and even essential services are struggling to keep up with modern demands, leaving commuters and families dealing with frequent delays and disruptions. What should be a straightforward trip to work, school, or the city center often turns into a frustrating ordeal, consuming far more time than it should. For adults in their mid-30s to mid-60s, who value efficiency and balance, this wasted time can be particularly draining, stripping away precious hours that could have been spent with family, exercising, or simply recharging. Scientific research consistently shows that long, stressful commutes don't just reduce free time. They also lower focus, creativity, and problem-solving ability throughout the day. In Newcastle, where commuting stress is compounded by outdated infrastructure and inconsistent public transport, the mental toll can be especially severe. Many residents report feeling exhausted before their workday has even started, leading to reduced productivity and frustration in both professional and personal life. This cycle becomes even harder to break when combined with rising costs and limited opportunities for flexible working arrangements, which means people are often forced into rigid schedules that revolve around commuting. While Newcastle still holds its charm as a cultural hub with strong community ties, its infrastructure struggles risk undermining the quality of life for those who call it home. If significant improvements aren't made soon, by 2026 many residents may conclude that the time, energy, and mental strain required to live in Newcastle simply outweigh its benefits. Number 5. Leeds. Leeds has transformed rapidly in recent decades, becoming one of the UK's fastest-growing urban centres, but its pace of expansion has outstripped sustainable planning. New housing developments and commercial spaces are rising across the city, yet essential infrastructure hasn't kept up. Roads are increasingly congested, green spaces are being squeezed, and public services are stretched thin. For families, especially those with children, the most noticeable strain is in healthcare and education. Schools are overcrowded, with waiting lists for quality placements becoming the norm, while local hospitals and GP surgeries are under constant pressure, often leaving residents waiting weeks for appointments. This overcrowding adds a layer of daily stress for parents trying to secure the best for their children, as well as for middle-aged adults managing their own health. Beyond the services themselves, the time burden becomes a significant problem. Parents find themselves navigating longer school runs, battling traffic, and spending countless hours on logistics that would be far simpler in a less overstretched environment. For adults in the 35 to 65 age group, already juggling work, family responsibilities, and financial planning, this constant drain on time and energy erodes both productivity and quality of life. Scientific studies highlight that when services are harder to access and daily routines become more fragmented, stress levels increase, sleep quality declines, and overall mental well-being suffers. In Leeds, this means many residents are burning through their limited personal time just to keep up with the demands of urban living. By 2026, unless city planning begins to match the scale of expansion, Leeds risks becoming a place where families and working adults feel permanently rushed, overwhelmed, and unable to achieve the balance they once expected. The promise of opportunity is there, but the daily reality tells a far more difficult story. Number 4. Glasgow. Glasgow, Scotland's largest city, is renowned for its resilience and cultural identity, yet beneath the surface lies a set of challenges that are increasingly difficult to ignore. Health disparities remain one of the city's most pressing issues, with Glasgow recording higher levels of stress-related illnesses compared to many other UK cities. Conditions such as heart disease, anxiety, and chronic fatigue are more prevalent, and research consistently shows how these health struggles directly reduce productivity, focus, and overall quality of life. For adults in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, who are already balancing demanding careers and family obligations, these pressures can feel overwhelming. Alongside health concerns, Glasgow's economy has struggled with stagnation, particularly in sectors that once offered stable, long-term employment. While there are pockets of innovation, growth has been uneven, leaving many residents uncertain about their financial future. The lack of consistent opportunities forces workers into roles that are often underpaid, insecure, or mismatched with their skills, fueling frustration and instability. This economic uncertainty feeds directly into daily stress, eroding people's sense of security and their ability to plan for retirement or invest in personal growth. The result is a cycle where both physical health and economic well-being are compromised, making it difficult to maintain a balanced, productive lifestyle. For many, Glasgow feels like a city where hard work doesn't always translate into progress, and where personal well-being is constantly under threat from both external pressures and systemic shortcomings. By 2026, unless significant strides are made in public health support and sustainable economic development, more residents may feel that Glasgow no longer offers the stability and vitality they need for long-term success and peace of mind. Number 3. Edinburgh. Edinburgh may be one of the most beautiful and historic cities in the UK, but behind its charm lies a reality that is becoming increasingly difficult for residents to cope with. The city is grappling with skyrocketing rents and severe housing shortages, pushing many families and professionals into financial strain or forcing them further out into the suburbs. What once seemed like an affordable alternative to London has, in recent years, become one of the most expensive places to live in Britain, leaving residents questioning whether their income can truly keep pace. On top of housing pressures, Edinburgh's popularity as a global tourist destination creates a constant clash between visitors and locals. During peak seasons, the city centre is often gridlocked with tourists, festivals, and events, making simple daily tasks like commuting to work, shopping, or running errands a time-consuming ordeal. For adults between 35 and 65, who value efficiency and balance, these wasted hours can feel especially frustrating. Research shows that overcrowding and congestion significantly increase stress levels, reduce patience, and disrupt time management, a pattern that many Edinburgh residents experience firsthand. The struggle isn't just about traffic or housing costs. It's about how these factors slowly chip away at productivity, energy, and overall quality of life. Even simple routines, like picking up children from school or getting to appointments, can demand far more time than they should. For those trying to prioritize both career and family life, the city's pace often leaves them exhausted and behind schedule. By 2026, if housing affordability and urban congestion continue to worsen, Many locals may decide that Edinburgh's beauty and cultural prestige are no longer worth the daily grind. The city risks becoming a place where living feels like a constant battle against time, cost, and crowding. Number 2. Bristol. Bristol, often celebrated for its creativity, waterfront beauty, and progressive culture, is now confronting a cost-of-living crisis that is hitting residents hard. In recent years, everyday expenses, rent, food, transport, and utilities, have risen at a pace far faster than wage growth, leaving many households in a constant financial squeeze. For middle-aged workers, especially those supporting both children and aging parents, the pressure can feel relentless. Instead of being able to save for the future or enjoy the city's cultural offerings, families are finding their income consumed by the basics, with little left over for security or leisure. This financial stress doesn't just affect the bank account, it reshapes the way people think and behave. Studies have shown that when individuals are under sustained financial strain, their ability to make sound, long-term decisions declines. The brain becomes consumed with short-term survival choices, making it harder to plan ahead, manage time effectively, or pursue personal growth. In Bristol, this plays out in subtle but powerful ways. Parents working extra shifts just to stay afloat, couples delaying retirement plans, and individuals putting aside their own health or hobbies because there simply isn't enough money or energy left. What makes this even more difficult is the growing gap between perception and reality. To outsiders, Bristol appears thriving, buzzing with culture, festivals, and youthful energy. But for many long-term residents, the day-to-day reality is one of constant calculation: how to stretch money, manage stress, and still maintain a semblance of balance. Over time, this erodes not only productivity but also the sense of joy that should come from living in such a vibrant city. If these trends continue unchecked, by 2026 Bristol may no longer feel like the beacon of opportunity it once promised, but rather a city where families are stuck in survival mode. Number 1. London. London, the beating heart of the UK's economy and culture, has long been a magnet for ambition and opportunity, but it is also the city where those very opportunities come at the steepest cost. Housing has reached levels so unaffordable that even well-paid professionals find themselves spending disproportionate amounts of their income on rent or mortgages, often in areas far from the center. This pushes many into extreme commutes, with hours each day lost on crowded trains, delayed tubes, or traffic jams. While London offers unparalleled career prospects, the reality is a productivity paradox. People move here to get ahead, yet the relentless pace, financial pressures, and exhausting routines leave them burned out and less efficient over time. Scientific research has repeatedly linked long commutes and sleep deprivation to reduced focus, memory, and decision-making, and Londoners embody this daily struggle. The culture of always being on only intensifies matters, as the city's competitive environment often demands longer hours and constant availability. For adults between 35 and 65, who are striving to balance careers with family and health, this lifestyle becomes a draining cycle where rest and recovery are luxuries, not guarantees. The city's sheer density further compounds the problem, with overcrowded services, rising costs for essentials, and limited access to quiet, restorative spaces. While London dazzles with its opportunities, culture, and prestige, the hidden toll on personal well-being and long-term productivity is undeniable. By 2026, for many residents, the question won't just be whether they can afford to stay in London, but whether the sacrifices, lost time, declining health, and constant stress, are truly worth the rewards the city promises. So, which city shocked you the most? Was it the obvious giant like London, or perhaps somewhere unexpected like Sheffield? Share your own city experience in the comments, because your story might resonate with thousands of others. We put a lot of effort into bringing you these insights, so please support us with a quick subscribe and check out our previous video on the UK cost of living crisis. It's just one click, but it keeps this community growing.